Recently, there's been a lot of talk of a Harden-Simmons trade. I talked about the possibility of this on my most recent episode of the podcast, stating Simmons would add some defense to the Nets, while obviously Harden adds shooting to the 76ers. I went a little bit more in depth than that, but I'll leave a link to that in the card and description. But instead of discussing a Brooklyn-Philly trade, I want to talk about what got Harden in Brooklyn to begin with. The 4-team headliner that broke the NBA internet. But how does it still hold up? I know the thumbnail has the Cavs and the Nets, but I want to go through every team that was on that trade. We'll start off with the Rockets. The Houston Rockets, at the end of the day, got nothing out of this trade besides picks. Except, that's exactly what they need. The Rockets acquired Oladipo in the trade, as well as a lot of draft picks from Brooklyn. And then, afterwards, proceeded to trade Oladipo as well for another 2022 draft pick. This works perfectly for the Rockets. After finessing the 2021 draft to pick up Sengun, Garuba, and Green, the Rockets have good pieces to start their rebuild, and they know it's time to start centering around the team around this new guard rather than Harden. These draft picks give the Rockets the pieces to do the exact same thing they did last year again, getting multiple solid young players to add to the roster around Green. The Pacers picked up LeVert, but recently the Pacers traded LeVert again to the Cavs, which we'll get to in a minute. The Pacers simply need to rebuild. Me and CJ Hoop Talks talked a while ago about the fact that the Pacers are a neutral. They needed picks and moves to completely change their roster. In this trade, the Pacers acquired some picks. Then, in the past day, the Pacers traded for Rubio. Rubio has less points than LeVert, but has higher assist and playmaking ability. Rubio also helps out the height of the Indiana roster and gets steals for them. And less than an hour ago, while I'm writing this script, the Pacers traded Sabonis for Tyrese Haliburton and Buddy Hield. Tyrese adds a guard that the Pacers desperately need, but that's a discussion for another day. Back to the Nets trade. The Nets, plain and simple, lost the trade. First, let's talk about what the Cavs acquired. The Cavs acquired Jarrett Allen to complete their big man roster. Jarrett Allen is an excellent defender, which I went to more in the detail that is linked. On top of that, the Cavs have acquired LeVert, which adds even more height and defense to their roster, as well as some playmaking to the front court. However, they had to get rid of one of their draft picks that they could have used to acquire more young players. The 2022 draft class is full of big men that the Cavs could have used to continue their big men trend. However, there are many other teams that are looking to shop for big men, as well as having worse standings and therefore a better chance than the Cavs to pick up these big men, leaving the Cavs just picking up scraps. Now, let's talk about what the Nets gained and lost. The Nets lost all of their draft picks, which isn't much of an issue because they're in a win-now situation by picking up Harden. However, the Nets are now in crisis mode to figure out how to save their season, and it may not be possible. This year is the last year they have a chance, with KD being the only one with the Nets extended contract. Except now, Harden doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore, Kyrie is playing part-time, and that same KD is coming off injury. The Nets' biggest problem is they put all their eggs into one basket of offense. But Harden is now playing just as bad as Russ, and again, Kyrie isn't there half the time. In turn, they also gave the Cavs Jarrett Allen, who has been phenomenal on defense and creates a massive powerhouse that has been stopping even the most incredible of offenses, just like the Nets. With this trade, the Nets effectively created their own weakness while trying to create strength. This is only a year after the trade. Seeing what happens in this expanding butterfly effect will be exciting, As Harden and Kyrie leave, the league gets taller and taller with its new rookies, and the Cavs possibly win another championship soon.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.